all illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
Since taking office and starting his second term as President of the United States, Donald Trump pledged to carry out one of the largest mass deportations in American history.
We're running targeted enforcement operations across the country and using our case files and our information to know who is a criminal in this country that needs to be removed and who has a final removal order.
Other states with sanctuary city laws were targeted across the country. The reality of growing up in communities like this meant that outrage was simmering and ready to erupt. In addition to community members taking to the streets to block Homeland Security vehicles, an interesting pattern started to emerge across social media. Through user-friendly website designers and platforms like TikTok and Instagram, everyday people mobilize their followings to combat the rise of immigration enforcement in their community.
Ms. Celeste. I am the co-founder and I guess CEO now of the Pueblo Project Foundation, which is the 501c3 that oversees People Over Papers, which is the map that people have come to know as the map where you can report ICE activity in your community.
Celeste didn't start out planning to build a digital resistance network, but what started as a way to support and streamline ICE sightings became an almost second full-time job.
I'm also curious, do you guys have, not that I think people are like reporting fake sightings, but is there a process?
They definitely are.
Really? So that's my question is like, is there a process to validate kind of the reports that you see come in? What's that process like?
Yeah, at first we were accepting any, and like it was unmoderated. A report would come in, automatically it would get popped on the map. We quickly saw that there were a lot of vague reports. And we weren't very methodical about the information that we were asking for. It was just like, whatever, you could just submit a report, it's fine. We quickly adjusted that. As the team grew, there are people that have experience in organizing, or they've been more involved in like rapid response networks in the past. And we came across what's called Salute, which is a method of gathering information specifically for that is used by rapid response networks, that is used by patrol, like local patrol groups, right? And it's very specific about the information that you gather. So you gather the size, how many there were, activity, the location, uniform time, and the equipment that they had on them. We created the form where you submit a report to require all of that information. And we also had the conversation. Do we require pictures and videos or do we not? And ultimately we decided to require them. And a part of that is because it gives you a better sense of credibility, right?
Sure.
If it's an obvious stock image with the report has very vague information, we're likely not to accept it because it's not helpful, right? There's a lot of people that would just submit city and state. Don't accept those either because they're not very helpful unless you live in a really small town. So we do have, I guess, like standards for what we would say is a good report. I would say it's like a grading sheet, right? A+ would be exact location, video or picture, very clear video or picture with all of the information filled out. And like an additional source, like a local rapid response network posted this on their social media as well. Or like a live, like a TikTok live or Instagram live. And then, you move down from there.
Celeste's digital mobilizing has not gone without consequences. At the time I spoke with her, the platform that hosted People Over Papers, Padlet, removed the site without warning.
Before I dive into like the details of how that transpired, I want to be very clear that Padlet knew exactly what we were doing since February. Their CEO knew what we were doing since February. And it's unfortunate that they made that decision to kick us off. On Padlet, I would have to wake up early every morning and clear the previous day's reports. I've been doing that for the past like 9 months, every single morning without fail. There's been a couple times where I've like slept in by accident. And people will let me know. They'll message me like, hey, the map isn't cleared yet. But that morning I woke up, cleared it like I usually do, and then I fell back asleep. And then a couple hours later I woke up and I had a few messages. Well, one, the first moderator on shift that day said she couldn't access the Padlet. I had a few messages come into my my personal Signal account and text messages telling me that they couldn't access the map. I immediately freaked out and thought, oh, like I did something. I deleted it or something in like being half asleep trying to clear it. Padlet, whenever you delete something on Padlet, it puts it in a trash bin, similar to like your computer, right? It goes into the trash and then you can restore it. And I couldn't find it anywhere. At that point, I started coming to terms with the fact that this is probably intentional. But Padlet did not communicate with us at all. We went through all of our emails to see if they had sent an email to like an organization email that maybe we're not logged into regularly. Nothing. They didn't know who I was. They asked for the link to the Padlet and my email. And then once I sent that information, it took a long time for them to respond to me. And that told me like, okay, whoever is running support is likely having to escalate this because this is probably a decision that came from the top. But there's been multiple media sources that have reached out, reporters, journalists that have reached out for comment. They have not received any. I have not received anything other than the canned answer from the support a person that I was working with, which was that we violated their content policy. Their content policy has not been updated since 2023. So either we did something different, which we didn't, or they decided they were pressured. They made a political move, a strategic move based on, because just a few days before that, Apple, Google pulled all like ICE tracking apps from their app stores. You know, I figured that could be something that swayed them to make that decision. My girlfriend sent me a screenshot of a tweet that Laura Loomer had tweeted. I think it was midweek, like a Wednesday. And she had said, she was celebrating that she took a lot of credit saying that it was because of her that they successfully took down ICE Block and other ICE tracking apps from the app stores. And then she tweeted Padlet, tagged them, and tagged the CEO. Said, do you know that your platform is being used by terrorists, by people that are helping people evade the law, that are doing something that will put agents in harm's way? And Padlet didn't respond to that tweet either, but I get a feeling or a sense that that is also one of the big reasons that they did it.
Despite People Over Paper's challenges with censorship, they are not alone in their efforts to take on the federal government. Across Los Angeles County, another form of resistance has emerged, one centered on street vendors, often a target by immigration officials.
It's Hester Jean Lee. I'm from Los Angeles as well. And what I do is I use my social media platforms to fundraise for street vendors and give them a half day.
Meet Hester, an actor, community organizer, and activist who leverages her over 130,000 followers across TikTok and Instagram to raise money, buy out an entire day's stock from street vendors under threat, and send them home safely.
Living in Los Angeles, growing up in Los Angeles, you can see that the Latino community is Los Angeles. It's in the name. So let's not, pretend like that's not what we're living in right now. But I felt very helpless with what was happening with the ICE raids. Particularly the moment that I saw was he was an older man. I want to say probably in his 80s. And he had about 9 flower bins around him. And it was kind of the middle of the day. It was sweltering hot, super, super hot day. And this was right at the beginning of the ICE raids in Los Angeles because we were the first to get hit. And I just thought to myself, wow, he's going to be out here all day. So the risk of him being separated from his family, what, forever, could be on the basis of whether or not he sells these flowers. So is it really just money that's the issue here? Because I don't have any, but what I do have is a phone, I have a voice, I have a car, and I have a conscience. So I feel like if it's really just, money that I need, then I'm going to ask the people for money. I had a really small following prior to this, maybe about 4,000 or so. With my TikTok, even less, I think less than 500 people. And so I just went on the internet and I just said, hey, I live in Los Angeles. I want to send these vendors home. Will you send me money to send them home? And it resonated so deeply because I think people are just really starving for hope lately. So that's how my work got started.
One thing I wanted you to maybe kind of explain for people that potentially listen to this is sort of the culture of Los Angeles. And I remember I watched one of your videos about you explaining like why you're doing this, right? And I think you kind of touched on how it's not abnormal to see people of the Korean community to know a little bit of Spanish and people in the Latino community to know a little bit of Korean. Wondering if you could speak a little bit to kind of that culture of LA and maybe, I guess, why people can, because I think people who don't maybe grow up in a community like this don't understand why people are going so hard and responding so immensely to these raids.
There's a lot of thoughts that I have with this one. But the first thing that I will say is I don't blame anybody for living in an area where you are not exposed to this every day and thinking, yeah, these people are criminals because the news says so. Let me just put a little, just a pin in that really quick, because that also is by design. Okay. Of course, if you're not exposed to this every day, you're going to be thinking, wow, these people that look so separate from me and so much darker than me, they're the enemy. Of course. Right. So living here in Koreatown, Koreans and the Latino community, we live like this. It is not a separation. We are literally right on top of, side by side, mixed in all around. Any possible way that you can possibly think of, that's us. We know the language of one another. We understand our cultures. We understand our values. It is literally one and the same. And so when you come out here to Koreatown, it is not uncommon for you, you better not be talking shit in the other language because people all know what we're saying to one another. And that's the beauty of it. You know what I mean? We are, more so than anything, we are connected by the culture and the pull of each other's food and the way that we are able to kind of bond and just work with one another. I've been in the restaurant industry for 14 years, and I have always been talking. If any restaurant that you go to out here in Los Angeles, we are back of house, todas personas somos Latinos, see? And so it's just you cannot separate the two. So I say all the time, if you are somebody that truly believes that these people are criminals, don't go to any fucking restaurant. Don't even fucking laze your eyes on it. I want you to eat potatoes for the rest of your fucking life with no seasoning. Okay? Because if you truly believe that these people are criminals and are not here to work hard for their dollar, then I invite you to come out here and actually experience the culture before you have such a stark judgment about it. That being said, here in Los Angeles, we have a conglomerate of all different kinds of cultures. It is not uncommon to see all, I say Korean town, but it's right next to Filipino town. Little Bangladesh is right part of Koreatown as well. Little Ethiopia is just a ways down as well, over by La Brea. It's all kinds of things. Who doesn't want to be in the city of Los Angeles? That's what makes our culture so beautiful. And so that's why I try to expose as much of my interactions with the vendors to show these are people that are out here working long ass hours in the sun, not asking for a handout. In my videos, you can see that a lot of the vendors are even hesitant. They don't understand what's happening. They don't want to just accept just to accept. And so I do this part of Los Angeles, these interactions, this is Los Angeles. This is not us trying to say, hey, by the way, you should come over here. Not one person has asked me, hey, just give me the money and don't pay me. I'm looking for a handout. Not one person has said that. And so that's Los Angeles. It's very common for us to be to look out for one another.
Both Hester and Celeste have found their form of advocacy and activism amongst the many efforts of others in a pursuit for justice for undocumented migrants and their families living in the U.S. Projects that went from simply trying to channel rage into action have led to incredible direct impact.
Curious if there's a particular story that you received that has stayed with you or stands out.
I was on a TikTok live once, and it was when we announced our fundraiser that we were officially accepting donations. And people were kind of coming up on live to tell us how this resource has helped. And there was a specific gentleman out of the Los Angeles area that said that he has a landscaping job and that he worries about himself and his employees every single day. And that every morning he opens his map and that dictates where they're going to be working and where they're going to be avoiding the day for that day. And they'll schedule their work around like, oh, we had something scheduled there, but looks like it's active right now. Maybe we'll go there in the evening instead, or in the afternoon. Those stories are rare to come across. People are scared to share their status. People are scared to talk about maybe being part of this vulnerable group. But again, it's extremely rewarding to hear that something I thought was just going to be helpful for me to visualize, and probably other people might like seeing it visually, has actually turned into a tool that is used daily.
I did a GoFundMe for one of my vendors. His name was Solomon. He's a double amputee. I did not find him organically. He was sent to me by multiple people. And so Solomon sells avocados for $1. He wakes up every day at 3 a.m., Erica, to get down to the produce district in downtown LA. It's $64 a carton and 84 avocados in each carton. He pushes 3 because that's how many he can push given his mobility situation. So 64 times 3, that's 192. Okay. 84 times 3, that's 252. Subtract that. That's $60 that he's making in a full day's profit. That's as much as he can possibly make. Okay. That's if somebody buys it for $1. When I was talking to him, he's like, yeah, people come up to me all the time and they're like, can I get, your avocados are bad. You let me get 5 for $2, right? So people are haggling with him. And guess what? He gives it to them every time. We're able to raise $9,600 for him. And he went on a vacation with his wife. He went to San Luis Obispo, and he had a really, really good time. And he is, it's the rest that he deserves. He was so extremely humble. When I dropped off the money to him, he was not emotional at all. His wife was quite emotional, but he wasn't emotional at all. I think he was kind of in shock. But in the bag that I delivered it to him, I wrote down every person's name that donated. And anyone that wanted to stay anonymous, I just drew a little heart. And the bag was completely filled from front to back. I literally ran out of room. And once I handed him the bag and I told him what this bag symbolized, that's when he broke down. When you're out there on the streets daily and people are haggling you, people are harassing you, he can't go after anybody that takes an extra avocado, okay? When you see that there's support that is out there every day, you have prayed for support and you're not seeing it, you're not finding it, but you're able to kind of, personify it, objectify it in this bag. It was a really, really beautiful moment.
What do you want people to understand about the people and the communities that your online mobilizing work supports?
We're not just sharing information with immigrants. That's the truth. This tool is available to everybody, including the people that disagree with us, unfortunately. The perception that we're helping criminals is absurd. 70% at this point of people that have been taken in by DHS and such agencies under the guise of reducing crime and immigration enforcement do not have a criminal record. And they are likely people that simply just want a better life and wanted an American dream. which I unfortunately don't think exists right now. Every single person that uses this tool is a human being. They have human rights. They deserve their human rights. And they're somebody's mom, dad, grandfather, grandmother, sister, brother, sibling, cousin, friend. And I really wish people would stop and really think of it that way.
If there's any kind of a takeaway, it's to not ignore the marginalized communities, that these people that are here truly make up the fabric of what is Los Angeles, of our streets. It's just the saddest thing to not see street vendors out on the streets any longer. It's literally, it feels so weird, right? Like to see them be living in fear. And I hear the stories of them. They tell me, this is my first day back. Thank you so much. I've been so scared to come out. Just know that the impact and the impact and the power that your dollar holds when it is given to a fellow community member. I really encourage you to get involved. I really encourage you to do whatever you can in order to be there to support your neighbors, because that is the way you can combat this feeling of hopelessness. If you feel this disparity, if you feel this, there's nothing that I can do, know that that's not true. That is not your voice talking to you. It is you want to help. If you feel that inside of you, believe me, you do. And I encourage you to follow it.
To learn more about Celeste's work with People Over Papers, you can follow People Over Papers on TikTok and Instagram. And to contribute to Hester's vendor support organizing, follow @HesterJeanLee on TikTok and Instagram.